The history of slavery in the Americas is a tragic and disgraceful chapter in human history. Millions of Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic Ocean to work as slaves on plantations in the Americas. These enslaved people suffered unspeakable horrors, enduring brutal living conditions, backbreaking work, and harsh treatment from their masters. On the plantations, enslaved people were subjected to long hours of arduous physical labor, often working from dawn until dusk in the fields. They were required to pick cotton, sugar cane, tobacco, or other crops, and they were punished severely for not working fast enough. Plantation owners believed in the idea of breaking their slaves. And they did so through constant lashings, beatings, and other forms of physical abuse. Enslaved people lived in squalid conditions on the plantations, often housed in cramped and overcrowded quarters. They were given meager rations of food, and their clothing was often tattered and inadequate. Many slaves suffered from malnutrition, disease, and other health problems as a result of their living conditions. Slaves were often separated from their families, with children being taken away from their parents at a young age. Enslaved women were frequently raped by their masters, and the resulting children born out of these forced unions were considered property of the plantation owner. The cruelty of slavery was not limited to the physical abuse of enslaved people. Their basic human rights were violated on a daily basis, with no regard for their dignity or well-being. They were denied the right to education, the right to marry whom they chose, and the right to practice their own religion. Despite the incredible hardships they faced, enslaved people on the plantations never lost their humanity or their will to survive. They developed their own vibrant and rich cultures, drawing on African traditions and adapting them to their new circumstances.
Hey guys! I came here in the middle of the video, asking you to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, because there is a lot of special content every day. Keep watching.
They created art, music, and literature, and formed communities of support and solidarity. The legacy of slavery in the Americas is a painful one. And it continues to shape the lives of millions of people today. The cruelty and inhumanity of the slave trade must never be forgotten. As we work to build a more just and equitable world for all, the abolition of slavery was a long and difficult process, but it was a necessary one to bring an end to the inhumane treatment of enslaved people on the plantations. The Civil War in the United States and the Haitian Revolution were turning points in the fight for emancipation and paved the way for the abolition of slavery in the Americas. While slavery officially ended in the mid-19th century in the Americas, its legacy still looms large. Enslaved people were not given compensation or reparations for their suffering in labor. And many were left destitute and without any means of support after their emancipation. The effects of slavery can still be seen today in the systemic racism and inequality that persists in many countries. As we reflect on the cruel life of slaves on the plantations, it's important to remember that their experiences were not unique. The history of slavery is a reminder of the horrific consequences of prejudice and discrimination, and the importance of treating all people with dignity and respect. We must continue to work towards a world where all individuals are treated as equals, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or social status. Only then can we truly honor the memory of the millions of enslaved people whose lives were taken from them, and strive towards creating a brighter and more just future for all.